India's startup funding boom is over. Think again. In 2025, Indian startups raised roughly 11 billion, despite global headwinds, and India was still the number three startup ecosystem in the world. And the important bit was that investors cut deals, and their early stage was the still the winner. And despite there was some contraction from 2024, but early stage funding had a growth of almost 7%. And in January 2026, also the script is going similar. The startup ecosystem has raised around 1 billion across 120 plus deals, and almost 45% of that is in early stage startups. So see, the real question is funding alive? That's not the real question. But why are investors betting earlier and basically on the early stage startups? So with that, welcome to Betting on Bharat. And today we'll unpack why 2026 early stage funding is booming. So see, the funding basically, like everything in life, startup funding also goes through cycle. It's cyclical in nature, and over the last 6 7 years, there have been different cycles. Like after the pandemic, there was a funding boom where unicorns were getting minted literally every week. And after that, there was correction in 23 24. 25 was more of discipline. In a way, you can say it was the year of consolidation. And now in 2026, I think rather than putting bigger check sizes, startup investors or the VCs and the angel funds have started putting more and more early stage deals. And that strength in early stage deals, it's very visible. We can see it. And you know as I mentioned earlier, that 2025, it was the year of reset in a way, or year of, let's say, consolidation. Funding, there were almost 40% reduction in funding compared to 2024, but there was 7% increase in early stage. So let's unpack this with a bit more data, right? That early stage investing, again, they raised almost 4 billion out of 11 billion in 2025. In so which was roughly almost 35% of all funding went to early stage startups. But in 2026, at least January, it's still very early. But if we go by the data from January, the trend is looking already much more towards early stage bets, and almost 45% of the money went in early stage deals. So that shows the momentum. And India, despite the 40% contraction last year, India still ranks third in terms of the startup ecosystem worldwide, after US and China, way ahead of Germany and Israel. And that also means that international capital is coming to India, and India is still seen one of the highest growth potential market. And one more thing which really changed, that a lot of founders got exits, or they unlocked liquidity from in the last decade, from 2015 to 2025. And now a lot of them are becoming operator VCs, because for them the terms like, basically for them, it's not, they understand the entire ecosystem. Terms like CAC, growth, CM1, CM2, CM3, they are familiar with that. They know how to back the right teams, what it takes to grow a startup, what it takes to take something from 0 to 1 and 1 to 100, because they have been part of those journeys. And I think they are sharing that experience with the upcoming founders. So that is something very important. And not last but not the least, government policy is also supporting. After tremendous success of startup India Fund of Funds, which was a 10,000 CR fund launched in somewhere in 2016, which helped in a way overall funds being pumped around roughly in the range of 70 to 80,000 crore. Now, Government of India has come up with Startup India Fund of Funds 2.0, where they have committed for the 10,000 crore. And this time around, the focus is more on deep tech. So, see again, last 1 or 2 decades were more about replicating the global success stories. But I think now the entire thesis is changing. Uh, Indian founders, after seeing the success stories of the last 2 decades, they are making bolder and riskier bets. They are building for Viksit Bharat 2047. Deep tech startups are coming. The education ecosystem of IITs and IIMs are helping helping, especially IIT Madras is doing a lot when it comes to deep tech startups, supporting deep tech startups. So I think there is a lot going on in the early stage segment. And what are the signals as well, right? At the end of the capital efficiency and is coming, demand product market fit is something which is being checked. Investors are not it's at the end of the day, it's investors market right now rather than being a founders market. But even with this, I think early stage checks are holding and growing. And what we are seeing is that founders who can show early traction, who are very strong in unit economics, who can see clear PMF, clear customer demand, are getting funded by real money and real belief. So now I think since we have unpacked, why early stage funding is growing in 2026, and it's here to stay. The trend is looking like early stage startups are going to get more and more institutional funding. Now let's come to why I started this channel. I started it not just to report valuations. There are plenty of good media startups like your storing 42 and tracker are doing a fine fantastic job when it comes to reporting. But I have started this to unpack why some startups are getting funded, why some are not, who got that check, why someone is putting money in a certain sector, and what kind of founders are getting funded, what kind of sectors are right now hot, right? Because funding is not only about capital. The first thing, it starts with convictions of founders, and then followed by their first few employees in the founding team, co-founders, and obviously then followed by conviction from the investors, as well as the most important being conviction from the customers. So right now investors are betting on Bharat. Are you? So I think with that, if you have been if you have come to the end of this video, I hope you have liked the content. Please hit the subscribe button, and more importantly, share why you are betting on India. And let's build in India. Let's do the hard work in next 2 decades so that by 2047 we can become Viksit Bharat.